Hello, my name is CF Claire. If this is your first video, just jumping into things, we're working on the first draft of Project Goblin, which is a dragon high fae rom-com adventure romantasy. You're gonna tell me when I get beta readers. We'll find out what it is. I work using the 8-sequence outlining method, which I'll link in the description to a video where I talk about how I use it, as well as the first 3 vlogs of writing this first draft. And we just finished the 6th sequence, so we only have 7 and 8 left. And I gotta tell you, they have so much emotional payoff. I'm absolutely so excited to write them. And thank goodness, because I am starting to want to be done drafting. I've been I've been drafting pretty heavily for the last however many days since February 20th is. It's March 11th now. And while I do think that I am not burned out, I am definitely ready to use my brain in a different way and switch off to a different project that's in more of a brainstorming stage. We're working off of a zero draft. Again, I'll link where that vlog is for this project. I've been drafting 3 chapters a week during the 5 weekdays and 1 to 3 chapters over the weekend as well. And then the last couple of days, I've been doing 4 chapters instead of 3 because my husband's out of town. And so I just kind of have a little bit of extra time at the moment. But today's the last day of that. I already wrote 1 chapter earlier today. That was just to finish off that 6th sequence. So today, what we're going to be working on for the rest of the day is chapters 51, 52, and 53. The 7th sequence has very few chapters. So we're going to be writing most of sequence 7 today, which is ridiculous. This is such a fun place to be with the writing because at this stage, it feels like there's no possible way things can work out, which is great. And so something that I've really, really liked from doing the zero draft is that the whole way through until the very, very last couple chapters, it really feels still like, how is this going to work? How is this going to work? Like we're taking steps, we're learning things are crazy. It's hopefully very interesting and engaging, and there are certain threads reaching their like climaxes as we're getting to the main climax, which is of course the final scenes with the romance plot. Does this make any sense? So we're getting like continual emotional payoff from places as well as questions asked and answered throughout the whole last 25% of the book. But the actual question of how are these characters going to end up together is still unanswered until those final chapters. And so I'm really excited about that. Some stuff is going to happen. This is the section of the book where we really, really start to pick up on this Celtic mythology inspired stuff that has been hinted at throughout the first 75% of the book. But now here we are. But enough, let's go write. Been a long time since we did a car clip. It's March 12th. And I'm in a little bit of a slump. So yesterday I did all 4 chapters. I didn't want to. I didn't want to do any of it, which is weird because I've been looking forward to these chapters. So yeah, but it just felt like too much to do. So it's valuable information. I don't think I ever need to make myself do 4 chapters again. There's not really any reason for it, to be honest, except just seeing, where are the limits of what feels good. And I found them. So here's what's going on. The 5th and 6th sequences, all of those chapters, pretty much, for the most part, most of those chapters have felt really, fine. They've definitely been the least in the characters' perspectives and really just like super first drafty, if you know what I mean. Which I did say in my parameters that I was fine with. But I was feeling yesterday, as I was going into these chapters that I really, really had been so excited about, I was feeling like they were just coming off first drafty, and that was not at all what I wanted them to feel like. But in order to do 4 in one day, that's just kind of what it felt like it had to be. So that's really why we're drawing the line in the sand about that stuff. And then today, I'm at school to pick up the kids. I'm an hour early so that I could be one of the first people to leave. And I'm hoping to start my first chapter of the day. I did a lot of cleaning today. I think I was just avoiding writing, which isn't a good sign. It's not a good sign. So I'm definitely going to slow down. This has been really a good experience doing this long of a fast draft. Like, I've fast drafted before, but those projects, the most chapters I think they had were like 40. And right now, I've written 54 chapters. And so that's just like a long time to be fast drafting for. And I just feel like I'm at the stage where with these chapters that I like so much, I want to actually spend some time writing them and thinking about them and doing it in a way so that when I read it over, it'll kind of like come across even in the first draft of like how much stronger these are than the chapters that just came before in the 6th sequence. Because I know there's a lot of holes in the 5th and 6th sequence, but there's not really that many holes in the 7th and 8th. And so I don't want to be writing them in the same, sort of slapdash style. The whole point of doing the fast draft is to get everything down as fast as possible. But at this point, I think it's fine to slow down. Like, I'm so glad that I'm at this point of the book. So let's just enjoy it. Like, So anyways, with that being said, I spent an hour earlier actually just going through one of the chapters and editing it and making it stronger, and that was really, really nice. So now I'm gonna start writing my first chapter of the day, and I'm actually I'm fine if I do 1 chapter today. I'm okay with that. It's kind of a funny, weird day, and I think that's fine. I would like to do 1 chapter though, at least, because I don't want to stall out. If things are going well, then in like 3 or 4 hours, I'll do the other chapter. I kind of had hoped that I would do 2 chapters today and really give them quite a bit of time to really enjoy doing them. So we'll see how that goes. And the other thing that this is making me think of is my strategy for publishing, because I've been watching a lot of Katie Wismer videos. I'll link her, but what's her YouTube name? Katie's Books, something like that. Anyways, so I'll link her. And she talks about a lot of self-publishing stuff, and I've really been enjoying her content a lot. And she does a lot of marketing things, and marketing freaks me out. It freaks me out. Like, the last thing I want to do is tell anyone else what to do, especially not buy my book. So I had been planning to sort of start my self-published author career sort of at full speed, to be honest, which, thinking back on it, seems unrealistic. So especially because the first mini series that I want to be doing in this world that I'm creating has 5 books in it, and so I had been planning to write and have all 5 of them done, which is a pretty, before publishing the first one, which is a pretty tall order because I've never finished an actual singular book all the way through to the end to where you would be like, and now I'm gonna publish it. I've always gotten hung up at different stages along the process, and I'm really feeling now you know what, I want to work up to being a rapid release romance novel author, but I don't what do I need to start out that way for? I have to start somewhere, and I think that the more time that I give myself to try different marketing techniques and things like that, the more confident I will be about it when I have worked myself up to, being able to release 3 books a year or whatever. So yeah, that's just kind of been a big mindset shift for me though. So I I still think that I'll try to release the first book, which is this one, in 2028, which had been my initial plan, but I think I'll try to do it like very, very early 2028, whereas before I'd been like almost 2029. It doesn't necessarily change a lot of the process for what I had been planning to do in terms of like what books to work on during what stages in this series, except that I think I want to focus on getting this first book ready like as soon as I can, so then I can just have it out and I can play with things and I can get some statistics and just, yeah. So anyways, that was a big mindset shift. Now I'm gonna go do chapter 54. Wish me luck, because I just don't feel like it. But at the same time, like, this is what I want to do for a career, and I'm fine taking the weekend off, you know. I don't need to do chapters on the weekend. It's Thursday right now, you know. But I do want to try to honor my do 6 time blocks of work, and I would prefer if I did do at least one chapter of this. And if it really is just like so hard for me to click into it, then I'll switch off and I'll do more brainstorming things for the 3rd book, which is the other goal that I have for my Q1 goals. But so anyways, we're gonna try our best. Here we go. It's March 13th, and I think yesterday I made the right call just working on 1.5 chapters. I had hoped to finish the 2nd chapter, and I would have, except that my husband got home. And I didn't want to write while he was back because he's been gone for days. So I stopped in the middle of the chapter. So yesterday I only wrote 2,500 words. We're at 84,720, and we're halfway through chapter 55. But I really, really like the way it's coming together, and I'm having a really good time being slower with it. So I'm really glad to kind of get that baseline of, if I was still doing like 3 chapters a day, I definitely could finish by Monday the 16th. But I am fine finishing a couple days later than that and enjoying the process a little bit more at this point. It was super important to me to figure out what I could do, because I'm trying to, you know, figure out how I need to schedule things as I keep going with this idea of being a self-published author. So that's all good, and I'm looking forward to, in a month or so, reading through the first draft and then doing my rate my chapter. How do I feel about how this chapter went? That I've done a series of for the last couple drafts, because at the moment, thinking back over how the rest of the draft has been, I feel like I still stand behind the idea of fast drafting, but I'm open in a way that I wasn't before this. I am open to the idea of, in the future, maybe during the first draft, not actually trying to like bang out a first draft really fast, and instead maybe seeing if it makes sense for the structure of my days to do like a chapter thought out, just spending the time that I need to do on it in the morning, breaking it up in the middle with working on a different project at a different stage, and then closing out my writing day with one last chapter that I'm taking my time on and thinking about. Because at the moment, that's feeling like that would be a really good balance of forward momentum in an enjoyable, sustainable way in multiple projects. So I'm open to that in a way I wasn't before, because I am very, very obsessive. And it's been more than 6 months since I actually drafted anything and had any draft of anything to work on. It's been so much series building, outlining, you know, planning for how I want to do my author career, since I had initially thought last year that I was going to be starting my author career in contemporary shifter romances, and then it just made sense that I'm actually transitioning out of that to do my debut in this more like fantasy romance avenue. So it's been a lot of planning, and it has been a little stressful, and it's just really been weighing on me that I didn't have any draft to work with. So I really wanted to have a draft finished that I could do things with editing. But going forward, now that I am going to be having that, I think I will be able to be more relaxed about the next draft. So that's just kind of like a nice peace of mind thing that I'm keeping in the back of my mind. So with that in mind, today I'm planning to finish 55 and then write 56. And I'm giving myself permission to spend as long as I want doing that. And if I feel like it, I will break it up in the middle by working on the brainstorming, outlining pieces for book 3 in this series. Because I have a lot of like ideas for that. I want to talk about these books so bad all the time, but it just like doesn't make sense. But anyways, it will all just be so fun. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I'm gonna get a cup of tea and go upstairs and sink into chapter 55. This is where there's so much emotional payoff with the love interests arc, and I love these characters. So yeah, I definitely don't want to just like bang out these chapters. So I'm excited. And then behind me, we have the onions, which are doing pretty well. And then you can't really see them at the moment, but there's lettuce and kale behind me that actually like should go out and get planted in the greenhouse, because the greenhouse, fantastically, the soil in the greenhouse is actually 50 degrees and it's, workable. Whereas outside, the ground's frozen, right? And it will be for a while. And the other last thing that I wanted to mention is that, so my husband is a big One Piece fan. And for anyone who doesn't know, they're doing a live action version of One Piece on Netflix, and the second season just came out. And I like a lot of things about the One Piece anime. I'm not a manga, however you want to say it. I can't read that format, so I don't do that. But there are a lot of things that I've enjoyed about the One Piece anime, and I can't take it as a genre because I just can't go along with a million freaking episodes that feel like just filler. Oh my god. But I have been loving the live action version, and I feel like it's done a great job taking all the things that I loved from the anime and making them watchable. And the cast is great. If you're looking for something to watch, you should watch the live action. It's fantastic. All right, let's go right. It's March 16th. It's Monday. It's a rainy Monday. And I slowed way down. So I had projected that I could have finished the draft today if I had kept up my 3 chapters a day and then 1 chapter on the weekend. And I didn't, and I'm glad that I didn't. I have been enjoying going a little bit slower here at the end, so that's been fine. Today I'm planning to write chapters 59 and 60 and just kind of like take as much time as I would like with them. And if that takes all 6 of the time blocks I want to spend writing today, then that's fine, and I'll just stop there. Otherwise, I kind of plan to sort of intuit if I want to do a little bit of brainstorming in the middle between doing those 2 chapters, brainstorming for the first draft of the outline for the 3rd book in this series. I've been liking more and more the idea of breaking up the drafting with something more brainstormy in the middle. And I had tried that last year. I'd kind of had that as my go-to, this makes sense to do, when I was drafting my middle grade fantasy novel, Project Conjurer. I was also at the same time hoping to do some brainstorming for this project. And it was in the really early stages of brainstorming, and I just like couldn't handle the back and forth. It was the summer, it was so hot, the kids were home. And there was also just a lot of decision making still when I was sitting down to draft that Project Conjurer. And I'm not doing all those decision making things now with this draft, and it's winter and the kids are in school. So, anyways, we'll just see how it goes. I should still be able to finish the draft by Wednesday. So it's not that big a deal. But how did the drafting go? So we're at 90,290 words right now. There's 6 chapters left, I believe. And I forget exactly the last thing I caught you up on, but I have been really enjoying kind of taking it slower writing the last couple chapters. So let's talk about the climactic sequence in a book. I was so confused for a while because when you read things like Romancing the Beat, the climax is the grand gesture. And I think that that is true to a certain extent when you're writing like a purely romance book. And in my mind, that's like contemporary. It's like very true for contemporary romance. Like that would be the climax of the book. It's I feel like less so necessarily when you're writing something that's more than one genre. Like what I'm writing right now is very action romance. So there's a big bad guy that we've been trying to figure out how to handle and deal with. There needs to be a climax with that plot line as well as the grand gesture. So I don't know. I think it could be a little bit confusing depending on what subgenre of romance you are writing. So for me, anyways, what I decided was the grand gesture I want to happen as close to the end as possible because in a romance, you don't want to resolve everything and then be like, okay, and then now let's fight the bad guy. Because it's kind of like, wait a minute, the book was about them being together. They're together now, and then now we're going to fight a bad guy. Like, I don't know what's going on. So we're going to do the fight with a bad guy, which causes the climactic moment of the book where the protagonist has the realization about the problem they've been struggling with this whole time, which then enables them to do the grand gesture after the bad guy is taken care of. So that's kind of how we're doing it. I'm excited about that. We're gonna go upstairs, try to wake up a little bit more, and jump into it. It's March 17th. Gotta give a little bit of space, buddy. He didn't like that. So it's 10:30 in the morning. I just finished writing chapter 62. So there's only chapter 63 and the little epilogue left. That's really exciting. It's really exciting. It's a sunny day. It's feeling, I don't know, giving a lot of optimism vibes. So we love it. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna see about writing. Yeah, there's nothing more to say. It's going well. We just wrapped up the romance plot line in the last chapter, and so now we've got this last chapter of like a little bit of slice of life. What do things look like now, and wrapping up the couple loose threads that had been there, and then teasing the next book in the epilogue. So let's go finish this book. Look at that. I'm done. I'm done. I'm so glad I'm done. It's about 12 o'clock, so it's been a couple hours, and I feel good. I feel good about what I did. And I feel like I've been released from a trap that I set for myself. I don't think there's any need to try to fast draft quite this fast ever again. But it is nice to know that I can, and I'm happy. But so, okay, some stats, some final stats, some final thoughts before I close out this blog. Over the course of the last 26 days, I wrote 96,878 words. It took 58 hours or roughly 139 time blocks. I know that there are definitely some parts that I had so much fun with, and I think will be really funny and good as I read them back. On the whole, I think it was mostly very bad writing, for lack of a better word. And I mean that in a positive way because I know that I will be able to take that bad writing and turn it into something better. I know that I have the bones of the story down, and I'm thrilled with that. I both want to immediately sit down and read it, and also I'm afraid of reading it. I know that it will be tough to get through. So many words of it being so bad. So I'm hoping that it won't be quite as bad as it feels like it was. That does happen sometimes, I have found, and yeah, hopefully that will be the case this time. But whether it is or it isn't, it was a positive experience. I feel like I learned a lot from doing it, and I'm not going to do it again. I think what I really landed on is that, yeah, now that I have a draft to work with, that I will not have to tear apart and write from the ground up again, which is what happened with the second draft of Project Chance last year. It was just like a total rewrite, and it was frustrating, but that's not going to be the case. I will be able to actually give this a developmental edit that keeps the large part of the draft intact structurally, which is what I want. So I'm very heartened by that, and that will be a great project to sink into in the next couple of weeks. And I'm really glad to walk away from it for a while and do more brainstorming things with the third book in this series, which has been going well. I did a little bit of that over the last couple days, and I think, yeah, that will be good. Definitely a lot of lessons learned from this. I think, funny enough, I think I don't need to zero draft anymore, possibly. So, which is kind of crazy because I was so thankful that I had zero drafted for this project. But as it turns out, I think I can use the best parts of what the zero draft did for me without spending quite as much time working through things in a zero draft format, because what I was finding is that I didn't need all of the pieces of how the scene turned, which I had really emphasized making sure that I knew how the scene started and how it turned and how it ended and what the change was and all of that when I was doing the zero draft for this project. And as I was doing a lot of the writing, sometimes I was using everything that I had come up with for the zero draft, but kind of, I think, more often than not, I was picking pieces here and there from the zero draft of what actually felt like needed to go down in the book. And so there was just kind of a lot of material that turned out to have been unnecessary. So that's fine. I'll take it. I'd rather have one less step. So interesting. We will see. With book 2, I had just finished the second draft of an outline for it, and I had intended to do then a third draft of an outline and then a zero draft. And I think, well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes, but I don't think that I need to do that zero draft, which would help my timeline for releasing books quite a lot. Quite a lot. So, heartening. Yeah, as far as today, I'm going to go. I had promised myself a reward when I finish this book, which is that I get to go buy a carton of Ben and Jerry's and just kind of fuck off for the rest of the day, which I'm going to do. So I think I'll go get some Ben and Jerry's and probably listen to some YouTube videos on authorpreneurship, the business side of being an author, because I think they're so interesting, and play Pokemon and eat some ice cream and just have a great time. Thanks for coming along for the ride. I hope it was fun. I hope your writing's going well. I hope life's going well. And I'll see you in the next video.